The cold hit Kang Dae-hyun first. It felt like needles pushing into his skin from every direction. His eyes refused to open. His lungs burned as they remembered how to breathe. Somewhere in the darkness, alarms screamed. The cryopod's lid hissed open. Freezing air rushed in. Dae-hyun's body jerked awake, his survival instincts forcing movement before his brain caught up. He rolled sideways and fell hard onto metal flooring. The impact knocked the air from his lungs. He lay there, gasping as feeling slowly returned to his fingers and toes. Red emergency lights painted everything the color of blood. The alarms wouldn't stop. Dae-hyun forced himself to his knees, then to his feet. His legs shook. How long had he been asleep? The cryopod's small display flickered with numbers that didn't make sense. 312 years, 7 months, 14 days. Dae-hyun stared at the display. That couldn't be right. He was supposed to sleep for a few months, not centuries. He reached for the communication panel on the wall. Dead. He tried again. Nothing. Every system in the cryo bay showed red warning lights or blank screens. The station's AI should have woken him. Where were the other maintenance workers? Where was anyone? He stumbled through the dark corridors of Orbital Station Theta 7. His workstation. His home for the past 3 years before. Before whatever happened. The emergency lighting gave just enough light to see by. Every door he tried was locked or broken. Every terminal was dark. The deeper he went into the station, the worse it got. In the main operations room, Dae-hyun found the first body. The skeleton sat in a chair, still wearing the remains of a station uniform. The name tag was too faded to read. Dae-hyun's hands shook as he backed away. He'd seen death before, but this was different. This was abandonment. This was being forgotten. He found more remains as he searched. The station's entire crew dead at their posts. Some in the medical bay, others in the escape pod stations. The pods themselves were gone, launched long ago. But why hadn't everyone left? Why stay behind? Dae-hyun's training kicked in. First priority, life support. He made his way to environmental control and found a backup generator still running. Barely. The thing was ancient, held together by prayers and spare parts. But it worked. The air was breathable. The temperature was survivable. That would have to be enough. Second priority, information. What happened? Where was everyone? He managed to restart one of the old data terminals in the communications room. It took him 2 hours of rewiring and bypassing burned-out circuits. When the screen finally flickered to life, Dae-hyun almost wished it hadn't. The logs told a story of disaster. The AI systems had failed, not just on the station but everywhere. Earth, the colonies, the defense networks. Everything connected to the central AI had turned hostile. The messages in the logs grew more desperate with each entry. People fighting for their lives, cities burning, the government issuing evacuation orders. Then, silence. The last official message was dated 300 years ago. It declared Earth under complete quarantine. Any ship attempting to land would be destroyed. The defense grid was still active, still following its last orders, even with no one left to command it. Dae-hyun read through the files with growing horror. The galaxy had declared humanity extinct. Earth was marked as a dead world, too dangerous to approach. The defense systems still worked, firing at anything that came close. But inside that protective shell, there was nothing. No cities, no people, just ruins and silence. He walked to the observation window. Earth hung in space below, beautiful and terrible. The blue oceans were still there. The green continents. But no lights showed where cities should be. No satellites moved in orbit. The planet looked peaceful. It looked dead. Dae-hyun pressed his hand against the cold glass. He was alone. The last human. The thought made him want to scream, but no sound came out. What was the point? Who would hear him? He stood there for a long time, staring at his dead world. Eventually, habit pulled him away from the window. He was a maintenance technician. That meant finding problems and fixing them. Even if there was no point, even if no one cared, it was what he knew how to do. Dae-hyun made his way to the maintenance workshop. His tools were still there, covered in dust but functional. He checked his personal locker. Inside, he found his old maintenance tablet. The battery was dead, but the solar charger still worked. He set it in a sunny spot near the window and waited. When the tablet powered on, a hologram flickered to life above the screen. A woman's face, kind but professional. Dr. Park Ji-won, the architect who designed the Earth defense grid. Dae-hyun had loaded her AI assistant program years ago to help with repairs. "Good morning, Technician Kang," the hologram said. Her voice was calm, like nothing was wrong. Like 300 years hadn't passed. "How can I assist you today?" Dae-hyun's voice cracked. He hadn't spoken in so long. "Everyone's dead. Humanity is gone." "What do I do?" The hologram was quiet for a moment, processing. "I am detecting significant time displacement. Accessing updated protocols." Another pause. "I am sorry, Technician Kang. My records confirm a catastrophic system failure occurred. Earth's population was evacuated to emergency stasis. However, revival protocols were never initiated." "Stasis? You mean they're still alive?" "The stasis archives are encrypted. I cannot access them. But yes, theoretically, millions of human consciousness patterns were stored before the evacuation." Hope, small and fragile, sparked in Dae-hyun's chest. Maybe he wasn't completely alone. Maybe humanity could still come back. But first, he needed to understand what was happening now. He spent hours going through the station's sensor logs. Most were corrupted or missing. But buried in the old data, he found something that made his blood run cold. The sensors had detected something 3 days ago. Massive energy signatures at the edge of the solar system, moving inward, heading for Earth. "Dr. Park," he said, "what are these signatures?" The hologram analyzed the data. Her expression changed, becoming grave. "These match the energy patterns of the Void Ravagers. They are the reason the Earth defense grid was built. They attacked once before, 300 years ago. Earth's defenses stopped them, but at great cost. They're coming back. Yes, and the defense grid has been offline for 287 years. Without it, Earth is defenseless. The galaxy beyond is defenseless." Dae-hyun looked at his hands. They were shaking. A maintenance technician. That's all he was. He fixed broken machines and kept old systems running. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a hero. He was just a guy who was good with tools. "Can the grid be restarted?" he asked. "Yes. The systems were designed with extreme redundancy. Manual restart is possible. However, it requires physical access to 47 primary control nodes located across Earth's surface. Each node must be individually activated and synchronized. How long would that take? For one person? Approximately 6 months. The energy signatures will reach Earth in 2 weeks. Impossible. The word hung in the air between them. But Dae-hyun had built a career on making impossible things work. On keeping dead systems alive just a little longer. On finding solutions when everyone else gave up. He looked at Earth through the window again. His planet, his home. Everyone he'd ever known was down there, locked in digital sleep. And something terrible was coming to destroy what little remained. Dae-hyun made his decision. Maybe he couldn't save everyone. Maybe he would fail. But he had to try. Because that's what humans did. They tried. They fought. They refused to give up, even when the universe said it was over. "Show me the location of the nearest node," he said, "and find me a working shuttle." "We're going down," the hologram nodded. "Understood, Technician Kang. Preparing descent protocols. I should warn you, Earth's surface has changed significantly. Nature has reclaimed the cities. Many areas are now extremely dangerous." "Doesn't matter," Dae-hyun said. He was already moving, gathering tools and supplies. "Dangerous is better than dead. And if I'm going to die, I'd rather die doing something that matters." He found a small maintenance shuttle in one of the docking bays. It was old, like everything else on the station, but the reactor still had fuel. Dae-hyun spent 3 hours running checks and repairs. When he was satisfied it wouldn't explode on re-entry, he climbed into the pilot's seat. The shuttle's engines roared to life. Dae-hyun guided it out of the station and toward Earth. As the planet grew larger in the view screen, he allowed himself one moment of doubt. One moment to be afraid. Then he pushed it away. Fear wouldn't help. Only action would. The shuttle shook as it hit atmosphere. Fire washed over the hull. Through the flames, Dae-hyun could see land approaching. Green forests where cities used to be. Rivers cutting through abandoned streets. Earth had moved on without humanity. But humanity wasn't quite finished yet. As the shuttle descended toward the overgrown ruins of Seoul, proximity alarms started beeping. Another ship was nearby. Not human design. Dae-hyun's heart raced. He checked the sensors. A scout vessel watching from high altitude. Someone else was here. Someone else knew he'd woken up. The galaxy thought humans were extinct, but Kang Dae-hyun was about to prove them wrong. The ruins of Seoul were drowning in green, vines thick as Dae-hyun's arm wrapped around buildings. Trees grew through windows and burst through rooftops. 300 years was enough time for nature to erase almost everything humans had built. The streets were rivers of soil and vegetation. The air smelled of wet earth and flowers. Dae-hyun stood in his maintenance exosuit, sweating despite the suit's cooling system. The forest that used to be his city stretched in every direction. Somewhere beneath all this growth was the defense command bunker. Somewhere down there was the first control node he needed to activate. Dr. Park's hologram flickered beside him. The bunker entrance should be 30 meters below current ground level. Recommend using thermal scanning to locate the access shaft. Dae-hyun activated his scanner. It took 20 minutes to find the right spot. When he started digging, he discovered the easy part was over. The shaft was filled with 3 centuries of dirt, debris, and the roots of massive trees. He worked for 6 hours straight, clearing away enough to reach the metal door below. The door's electronic lock was dead. Dae-hyun attached a portable battery and crossed his fingers. The lock beeped. Green light. The door groaned open, revealing darkness and the smell of stale water. Life support is offline, Dr. Park warned. Air quality is poor. The facility is flooded in several sections. Of course it is, Dae-hyun muttered. He activated his suit's lights and descended into the bunker. The place was a mess. Water dripped from every surface. The walls were covered in strange fungus that glowed faintly in the dark. Dae-hyun's boots splashed through ankle-deep water. Emergency signs still glowed on the walls, their ancient batteries somehow still functioning. Follow the signs to reach the control room. Simple enough, except the corridor was blocked. A section of ceiling had collapsed, leaving only a narrow gap near the top. Dae-hyun squeezed through, scraping his suit against concrete and rebar. On the other side, something moved in the water. He froze. His light swept across the flooded hallway. There, something large, pale, moving under the surface. One of the creatures that had evolved in Earth's abandoned places? Dae-hyun didn't know what it was, and he didn't want to find out. He moved slowly, carefully, trying not to make waves in the water. The creature didn't attack. It swam past him as long as a car, its body covered in translucent skin. Dae-hyun watched it disappear into the darkness. His heart pounded. Earth wasn't just abandoned. It was alien now, filled with things that shouldn't exist. The control room door was still sealed. Good. That meant the important equipment might still be dry. Dae-hyun used his emergency override codes. The door opened with a hiss of pressurized air. Inside, the room was exactly as it had been left 300 years ago. Dust covered everything. The control panels were dark, but the structure was sound. The fusion core is in the level below, Dr. Park said. It should still have fuel. However, safety protocols will prevent restart without proper authorization. Dae-hyun climbed down to the reactor level. The core sat in its protective housing, silent and cold. He ran diagnostics from his tablet. The reactor was fine. The fuel was good. But the safety systems refused to allow activation. They detected degraded conditions, unauthorized access, and a dozen other problems. Can you override the safety systems? He asked. Not recommended. The safety protocols exist for good reason. We don't have time for safe, Dae-hyun said. He opened the manual access panel and started pulling wires. Dr. Park's hologram flickered with what might have been alarm. Technician Kang. That is extremely dangerous. Everything about this situation is dangerous, he said, connecting bypass circuits. If we follow every safety rule, we'll still be here when those ravagers arrive. Sometimes you have to make things work, even if the manual says you shouldn't. He finished the bypass and hit the restart sequence. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a deep hum filled the room. Lights flickered on. The fusion reactor was alive, pumping power through 300-year-old cables. Dae-hyun climbed back to the control room. The panels were lighting up one by one. He activated the defense node's connection to the planet-wide grid. A progress bar appeared on the main screen, synchronizing checking systems. Running diagnostics, then finally Node 1 online. 1 down, Dae-hyun said. 46 to go. He made his way back to the surface. The sun was setting, painting the overgrown city in orange and gold. Beautiful and lonely. Dae-hyun climbed out of the shaft and nearly jumped out of his skin. Someone was standing there. Not human. Definitely not human. The alien was tall, maybe 2.5 meters, with a crystalline exoskeleton that reflected the sunset in rainbow colors. 4 arms, each ending in delicate 3-fingered hands. Large compound eyes that looked like cut gems. The creature wore armor that seemed to be part organic, part technology. Daehyun reached for the tool on his belt. Not much of a weapon, but it was something. The alien raised 2 of its hands in what might have been a peaceful gesture. It spoke, and Daehyun's suit automatically translated the clicks and whistles into words he could understand. Peace, human. I am Tavren, scout commander of the Tritanian fleet. I have been watching you. Daehyun's mind raced. First contact. He was having first contact with an alien species, and he looked like he'd been crawling through sewers. Which he had. He cleared his throat. Kang Daehyun, he said. I'm a maintenance technician. Are you here to help or get in my way? Tavren's head tilted in what might have been surprise or amusement. You are truly human? Not a servitor? Not a construct? Last time I checked, yeah, why? Because humans are extinct. This is known throughout the galaxy. Earth is the ghost world, protected by defenses that fire on any approach. For 300 years, this planet has been silent, and now you appear activating ancient systems. Explain. Daehyun sat down on a chunk of rubble. He was too tired for this. I was in cryo-sleep when whatever happened, happened. Woke up a few days ago. Everyone's gone. Earth's defenses are offline, and something bad is coming. So I'm trying to turn them back on before we all die. Simple as that. Tavren was quiet for a moment. Then the alien moved closer, lowering itself to something like a sitting position. You speak of the Void Ravagers. We have detected them as well. They return after 3 centuries. Our people remember the last time. Human defenses destroyed an entire Ravager fleet, millions of ships gone in days. The galaxy has been trying to understand your technology ever since. Well, the technology doesn't work if nobody turns it on, Daehyun said, and I'm the only person left who knows how. One human, Tavren said slowly, attempting to activate a planetary defense network designed for thousands of operators. This is impossible. Probably, Daehyun agreed. But I'm going to try anyway. Because that's what we do. We try impossible things. Sometimes they even work, Tavren stood. Its crystalline body caught the last rays of sunset. I came here to investigate. To see if the ghost world still held secrets. I found something better. I found hope. The alien extended one hand toward Daehyun. My scouts can transport you between node locations. Our ships are fast. With our help, you might finish in time. Daehyun stared at the offered hand. He thought about pride, about doing this alone, about human independence. Then he thought about the Ravagers coming, about billions of people in other star systems who would die if Earth's defenses stayed silent. Pride was a luxury he couldn't afford. He reached out and shook Tavren's hand. The alien's grip was gentle despite looking like it could crush stone. Deal, Daehyun said. But if we're doing this together, you need to understand something. These systems are old. They're broken. Half of them probably won't work. I'm going to be cutting corners and breaking safety rules. It's going to be messy. Tavren's mandibles clicked in what might have been a laugh. Messiness we can accept. Failure we cannot. Show me where we must go next. Dr. Park's hologram appeared, displaying a map. The nearest priority node is located in what was once Tokyo. Distance 1,200 kilometers. In the maintenance shuttle, travel time would be 6 hours. I recommend rest first. No rest, Daehyun said. Tavren, how fast are your ships? 30 minutes, the alien said. Perhaps less. Then let's move. We've got 46 more of these to activate and 2 weeks to do it. Tavren gestured toward the sky. A ship appeared, descending through the clouds. It was smaller than Daehyun expected, sleek and organic looking, more like a living creature than a machine. The ship settled onto the overgrown street and a door opened in its side. Welcome aboard, Tavren said. Let me introduce you to my crew. They are eager to meet a real human. Our people have wondered about your kind for so long. Inside the ship, 3 more Tritanians waited. They stared at Daehyun with their gem-like eyes clicking softly to each other. One of them stepped forward. You are smaller than the legend said, the Tritanian observed. Daehyun laughed. He couldn't help it. After everything, that's what they commented on. His size. Yeah, well, the legends probably didn't mention that we get tired, hungry, and scared too. But we show up anyway. The ship lifted off smoothly. Through the windows, Daehyun watched Seoul disappear behind them. Ahead lay Tokyo, buried under even more vegetation. 46 nodes, 14 days. One human and a handful of aliens against an enemy that had nearly destroyed the galaxy once before. Impossible odds. But humans had never been good at accepting impossible. They just worked harder. Dr. Park, Dae-hyun said quietly. Start running scenarios. If we can't activate all 47 nodes, what's the minimum needed for basic defense? The hologram appeared beside him. Calculating. With minimum coverage, 30 nodes would provide basic protection for Earth and near-orbital space. However, range and power would be significantly reduced. 30 is better than 1, Dae-hyun said. Let's see how many we can get online. Tavrin, what do you know about these Ravagers? The alien's expression grew serious. They are not like any life we understand. They corrupt technology, turn ships into weapons, planets into breeding grounds. They came from dark space 300 years ago. Earth stopped them. But the cost was everything. Now they return and only you can wake Earth's defenses. No pressure then, Dae-hyun muttered. He looked out at the Earth rushing past below. His world. His responsibility. He wouldn't let it fall. Not while he still had tools and the will to use them. 5 nodes, 6, 7. The number climbed slowly over 8 days of constant work. Dae-hyun had stopped sleeping more than 3 hours a night. His hands shook from exhaustion. His exosuit's medical system kept pumping him full of supplements and stimulants to keep him moving. But he was moving. That's what mattered. Tavrin's crew had proven their worth a dozen times over. They flew him between locations at speeds that should have been terrifying but felt routine now. They stood guard while he worked in dangerous ruins. They even helped with basic repairs when Dr. Park could translate the instructions into terms they understood. Node 8 was buried under what used to be the Amazon rainforest. Now it was a superforest, trees the size of skyscrapers creating a canopy so thick that the ground below lived in permanent twilight. Dae-hyun descended through layers of vegetation that had never existed in his time. Strange birds that might not be birds anymore scattered at his approach. The bunker entrance was easier to find here. The tree's roots hadn't penetrated as deep. But inside, the facility was worse than any he'd seen. The reactor housing had cracked. Radiation levels were high but not immediately lethal. Dae-hyun worked quickly, his suit's alarms beeping warnings every few seconds. You should leave, Dr. Park said. Radiation exposure is approaching dangerous levels. Just need 5 more minutes, Dae-hyun said, his hand steady despite everything. He'd gotten good at this. Really good. What took hours at the first node now took minutes. He knew every trick, every shortcut, every way to make ancient systems cooperate. The reactor hummed to life. Node 8 online. Dae-hyun climbed back to the surface and collapsed against a tree trunk. His suit's medical readout wasn't good, but it wasn't fatal either. Rest for an hour. Move to the next location. That's when Tavren's ship received the emergency transmission. Dae-hyun listened as the alien commander translated. A Galactic Council fleet had arrived in Earth's outer system. They demanded to speak with whoever was activating the planet's defenses. They demanded Dae-hyun surrender control of the defense grid immediately. Who are they? Dae-hyun asked. The Council governs most of the galaxy, Tavren explained. They are bureaucrats and politicians. They have been trying to access Earth's technology for centuries. Now that you are activating it, they see an opportunity to claim it. Claim it? It's not theirs to claim. It's Earth's. It's humanity's. Humanity is extinct, Tavren said gently. In the eyes of the Council, Earth is abandoned property. They will argue they have the right to protect it. Dae-hyun stood up, ignoring his body's protests. Well, humanity isn't extinct. I'm right here, and I'm not handing over anything. The transmission came through on his suit's communication system, a voice smooth and confident, speaking through a translation matrix. This is High Director Velshara of the Galactic Council. You are Kang Dae-hyun, the human activating Earth's defense systems. That's me, Dae-hyun said. Remarkable. We believed your species extinct. However, this does not change the situation. Earth's defensive technology is too dangerous to remain under single-entity control. The Council offers full protection and support in exchange for administrative access to the defense grid. No, Dae-hyun said simply. Silence on the line. Then, perhaps you do not understand. The Void Ravagers approach. Without Council military support, Earth cannot survive. We require access to coordinate our defense. The grid was built so only humans could authorize its use, Dae-hyun said. There's a reason for that. My ancestors didn't trust anyone else with this kind of power. Neither do I. You are one person attempting an impossible task. You need our help. I've got help. Tavrin and the Tritanians have been with me for days. They don't want to control Earth, they just want to survive. That's the kind of help I trust. Another pause. When Velshara spoke again, the voice had an edge. If you refuse Council oversight, we cannot guarantee your safety. The Council will be forced to declare Earth's defenses a rogue threat. We may need to disable what you have activated. Daehyun felt his anger rise. These people, these politicians sitting safe in their ships, threatening to sabotage humanity's last defense because they couldn't control it, because one person wouldn't bow to their authority. You want to disable Earth's defenses while the Ravagers are coming? Daehyun asked, his voice dangerously quiet. You'd rather see everyone die than let someone else be in charge? We prefer controlled risk to uncontrolled power. You have 12 hours to reconsider. Velshara out. The line went dead. Daehyun stood in the twilight forest, shaking with exhaustion and fury. Tavrin approached carefully. What will you do? The alien asked. Keep working, Daehyun said. We activate as many nodes as possible. We get this grid online. And if the Council tries to stop us, then Earth's defenses have their first target. That would mean war with the Council. Then let it be war. I'm done with people who think they know better. I'm done with authority that cares more about control than survival. We do this our way or we don't do it at all. They worked through the night. Node 9, Node 10, 11. Each activation felt like a victory and a race against time. Dr. Park discovered something in the system archives that changed everything. Technician Kang, I have found a cascade protocol in the grid's core programming. If you activate 15 specific keystone nodes, the remaining nodes can initialize automatically. It is risky. The power surge might damage the entire system, but it would save weeks of work. Daehyun looked at the list of keystone locations, spread across the planet, some in extremely dangerous areas. One was underwater, beneath what used to be Busan. The city had been swallowed by rising seas. Show me the probability of success, he said. 43%. However, if the cascade fails, all activated nodes will be destroyed. We would have to start over. And if we don't try the cascade, we will have approximately 20 nodes online when the Ravagers arrive. Insufficient for full planetary defense. Daehyun made the decision. We go for the cascade. We don't have time to play it safe. The next 3 days were hell. They activated nodes faster than before, focusing only on the keystone locations. The work was sloppy. Daehyun cut corners he would never have cut before. But it worked. Barely, but it worked. Node 14 was the underwater facility. Daehyun descended in a pressure suit, following the ancient access tunnel down into darkness. The facility was flooded but intact. He worked in the cold water, his fingers numb, his breathing loud in the helmet. Something moved in the water nearby. Large. Curious. Daehyun tried not to think about it. He focused on the reactor, on the control systems, on making dead machines live again. The reactor came online. Node 14 activated. One more to go. He surfaced to find Tavrin waiting on the shore. The alien looked agitated. The Ravagers have changed course, Tavrin said. They are no longer heading for the galactic core. They are coming directly to Earth. Daehyun felt his stomach drop. How long? 3 days. Perhaps less. They know what you're doing. They remember what happened last time. They are coming to destroy the grid before you can finish. Dr. Park's hologram appeared. The final keystone node is located in the Himalayas. Extreme altitude. The facility will be frozen and oxygen deprived. Then we go now, Daehyun said. No rest, no breaks. We finish this. The Tritanian ship raced through the sky. Below, Earth's surface blurred past. Daehyun watched the planet and thought about everyone who came before him. Everyone who built these defenses. Everyone who sacrificed themselves to protect a galaxy that barely remembered them. He wouldn't let them down. He couldn't. The mountain facility was buried in ice. Daehyun and 2 of Tavrin's warriors dug through frozen walls. The cold was brutal. His suit's heating system struggled to keep up. But they reached the door. They got inside. The reactor was frozen solid. Daehyun stared at it. This wasn't something he could fix with a bypass or a clever trick. The entire system needed to thaw before it could restart. That would take hours they didn't have. I can help, one of the Tritanian warriors said. The alien moved to the reactor housing and placed all 4 hands on the frozen metal. Its body began to glow. heat radiating from its crystalline form. My people can store and release thermal energy. It is why we evolved on a desert world. The ice began to melt, slowly at first, then faster. Water dripped, then poured. The Tritanian glowed brighter, its body temperature rising to dangerous levels. But it didn't stop. It kept pouring heat into the frozen reactor until the ice was gone. Then the alien collapsed. Tavern caught their warrior before they hit the ground. They will recover, Tavern said quietly, but they gave everything they had. Finish this. Make it worth the cost. Daehyun's hands moved faster than they ever had. He activated systems, bypassed damaged circuits, forced the ancient reactor to wake. His vision blurred with exhaustion. His body screamed for rest. But he kept going. The reactor hummed to life. The control panels lit up. Node 15, the final keystone, came online. Initiating cascade sequence, Dr. Park announced. All personnel should evacuate to minimum safe distance. They ran. Out of the facility, into the ice and snow to where the Tritanian ship waited. As they lifted off, Daehyun watched the mountain. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then across the planet, ancient systems woke. One by one, node after node, the Earth defense grid came alive. Lights blazed in abandoned facilities. Weapon systems emerged from forests and oceans. Orbital platforms powered up, their solar panels unfolding like wings. The cascade had worked. 47 nodes, full planetary coverage. Earth's defenses were online for the first time in 300 years. Dr. Park's voice was filled with emotion. Defense grid active. All systems nominal. Weapon platforms charged, awaiting authorization for combat operations. Daehyun looked up at the sky. Somewhere out there, the Ravagers were coming. But now Earth was ready. Humanity's greatest achievement lived again. Authorization granted, he said. If they want to fight, let's show them what humans can build. The night sky turned white. Earth's orbital weapons platforms fired as one, releasing stored energy in brilliant beams of light. Mass drivers launched projectiles that glowed like shooting stars. Point defense systems filled space with tracers, drawing patterns of destruction. Daehyun watched from the command center of the restored Soul node. Holographic displays surrounded him, showing the battle in real time. The Void Ravagers had entered Earth's defensive perimeter 17 minutes ago. They were already dying. Enemy casualties at 42%, Dr. Park reported. Her hologram stood beside him, calm despite the chaos. Grid performance exceeds projections. Defensive coverage is holding. The Ravager ships were like nothing Daehyun had ever imagined. They looked alive, their hulls pulsing with biomechanical growth. Some were small, fast, darting between Earth's fire like angry insects. Others were massive, kilometers long, their surfaces covered in what might have been eyes or weapons or something worse. The defense grid didn't care about size. It calculated trajectories, predicted movements, and fired with computer precision. Ships exploded. Others tried to retreat. The grid hunted them down. This is it, Tavern said. The alien commander stood nearby, watching the displays with all four eyes. This is what stopped them before. Your people built something magnificent. Not magnificent, Daehyun said quietly. Necessary. My ancestors built this because they had to, because nothing else could stop what's out there. The remaining Ravager ships pulled back, retreating to the edge of the solar system. The first battle was over. Earth had won. But Daehyun felt no joy. The enemy had tested the defenses. Now they knew what they were facing. They would adapt. They would return. Damage report, he said. 3 orbital platforms sustained minor damage. 2 ground stations are overheating. Nothing critical. The grid is functional at 97% capacity. A communication request blinked on the display. Galactic Council frequency. Daehyun sighed. He'd been expecting this. Belshara's image appeared. The council director looked different than Daehyun imagined. Tall, elegant, their bodies shimmering like they weren't entirely solid. Beautiful and alien and completely untrustworthy. An impressive display, Belshara said. Earth's defenses are even more formidable than our records indicated. This changes the strategic situation significantly. Yeah, it does, Daehyun agreed. It means you need me more than I need you. Crude but accurate. The Council fleet is prepared to provide support. However, we must insist on joint command authority. The defense grid is too powerful to remain under sole control. Still no, Daehyun said, but I'll make you a deal. Any ship that wants Earth's protection can have it. The grid will defend Council vessels, Tritanian vessels, anyone who's here to fight the Ravagers, but I control when and how the weapons fire. That's not negotiable. Velshar's expression shifted. Surprise calculation? Hard to tell with an energy being. You would extend Earth's defensive umbrella to other species? That's what it was built for, Daehyun said. To protect. Not to conquer, not to control. Just to protect. If you're here to help, you're under the umbrella. If you're here to take over, you're on your own. A long pause. Then Velshara nodded slowly. The Council fleet will coordinate with your defense grid. But this conversation is not over, Kang Daehyun. When the immediate threat is resolved, we will discuss Earth's future. Looking forward to it, Daehyun said, cutting the connection. Tavren's mandibles clicked in what might have been approval. You handle politicians well. For a maintenance technician. Politicians are like broken machines, Daehyun said. You need to figure out what they really want before you can make them work properly. Over the next 2 days, more ships arrived. Not just Council vessels, independent traders, colony defense forces, species Daehyun had never heard of. They came because word had spread across the galaxy. Earth's defenses were active. The ghost world was fighting back, and anyone who needed protection could find it here. The Ravagers returned on the 3rd day. This time they brought everything. Thousands of ships filling space like a swarm of locusts, and behind them something massive, a world ship, a vessel the size of a moon, its surface writhing with biological growth. That is new, Tavren said, staring at the displays. The historical records contain no mention of world ships. They've been building, Daehyun realized. 300 years. They used that time to grow stronger. To prepare for this, the battle began. Earth's grid fired continuously, targeting the smaller ships first. The Allied fleet engaged, their weapons adding to the defensive fire. Space became a hellscape of explosions and energy beams. But the Ravagers were different this time. They'd learned. Their ships moved in patterns designed to confuse targeting systems. They released clouds of biological matter that absorbed energy weapons. They were adapting in real time. Grid efficiency dropping to 85%, Dr. Park reported. The enemy is compensating for our tactics. Daehyun watched the tactical display. The Ravagers were pushing forward, accepting casualties to get closer. They wanted to reach the planet. They wanted to destroy the grid at its source. We need to change strategy, he said. Dr. Park, what protocols did the original designers include for worst-case scenarios? Accessing restricted files. The hologram's eyes went distant. I am finding references to something called the Helios Protocol. It was my final design. A fail-safe for extinction-level threats. What does it do? It uses the defense grid to weaponize solar output. A directed solar flare, focused by orbital mirrors and amplification stations. The energy release would sterilize everything in a targeted cone of space. Daehyun felt his mouth go dry. What's the cost? The grid would overload. 80% of the weapon platforms would be destroyed. Earth would be defenseless for years, possibly decades. The protocol was designed as a last resort. After activation, there is no recovery. But it would stop the Ravagers? Yes. Nothing biological or technological could survive the energy release. Daehyun looked at the tactical display. The Ravagers were breaking through the defensive perimeter. Allied ships were falling back. The world ship was moving forward, releasing smaller vessels from ports along its surface. If that thing reached Earth, the planet was finished. But using the Helios protocol meant destroying the very defenses he'd spent 2 weeks activating. It meant leaving Earth vulnerable. What if more threats came? What if this wasn't the end? Dr. Park, he said quietly. Why did you design this protocol? Why build a weapon that destroys itself? The hologram was silent for a moment. When she spoke, her voice held something that might have been memory or emotion. Because some threats require everything. Because survival sometimes means sacrifice. Because the people we protect are worth more than the weapons we build. Daehyun nodded slowly. He understood. His ancestors had understood. They'd built these defenses knowing they might have to destroy them. They'd accepted that price. Prepare the Helios protocol, he ordered. But wait for my authorization. We use it as a last resort. The battle intensified. Ravager ships pushed deeper into the defensive zones. Council vessels fought desperately. The Tritanian fleet held position near Earth, refusing to retreat. Daehyun coordinated the defense, redirecting fire, adjusting tactics. buying every second he could. Then Dr. Park made a discovery that changed everything. Technician Kang. I have been analyzing the grid's deep archives. I found something impossible. Consciousness storage facilities. Billions of human neural patterns preserved in quantum suspension. Daehyun's attention snapped away from the battle. What? Before the AI crisis, humanity initiated an emergency evacuation protocol. Not physical evacuation, digital. They uploaded themselves. Every human on Earth. They're still here, stored in underground data centers, waiting. Waiting for what? For the threat to pass. For it to be safe to restore them. You were never the last human, Kang Daehyun. You were the first to wake up. The revelation hit him like a physical blow. Not extinct, not dead, sleeping. Billions of people, his people, waiting for someone to tell them it was safe to come home. Can they be restored? He asked. Yes, but it will take time. Years to restore everyone, and I cannot guarantee they will be unchanged. 300 years in digital storage may have consequences, but it's possible. Humanity can come back? Yes. Daehyun looked at the battle display. The Ravagers were breaking through. The Allied fleet was failing. He could use the Helios protocol, destroy the enemy, sacrifice the grid, leave Earth defenseless while humanity slowly restored itself, or he could try something else. Something desperate. Dr. Park, can you restore military specialists first? People who knew how to fight? How to operate these systems? Yes, but restoration takes hours. We do not have hours. Then we make the time, Daehyun said. Start the restoration process. Begin with anyone who has defense grid experience. Tactical officers. Weapons specialists. We need them now. This is extremely risky. If the Ravagers reach Earth before enough personnel are restored, then we use the Helios protocol, Daehyun said. But we try this first. We give humanity a chance to save itself. Start the restoration. Understood. Initiating restoration sequence. First subjects will be conscious in 4 hours. 4 hours. Daehyun had to hold the line for 4 hours. Against an enemy that had destroyed civilizations. With a fleet that was already breaking. He opened a channel to all Allied vessels. This is Kang Daehyun, Earth Defense Command. I need 4 hours. Just 4 hours. Hold the line. Don't let anything through. Because in 4 hours humanity is coming back. And we're going to show these things why they should have stayed in the dark. Tavern's voice came through immediately. The Tritanian fleet stands with Earth. We will hold. Other voices followed. Council ships. Independent vessels. Species whose names Daehyun didn't recognize. They would hold. For 4 hours. For humanity. For a chance to survive. The longest 4 hours of Daehyun's life had just begun. 3 hours and 47 minutes. The Allied fleet was dying. Daehyun watched ships explode on his displays, each one representing lives lost. Brave people who'd chosen to stand between Earth and extinction. The Ravager world ship pushed forward, unstoppable, consuming everything in its path. Grid efficiency at 62%, Dr. Park reported. Her hologram flickered with interference from all the energy weapons firing. Multiple systems are overheating. We cannot maintain this rate of fire much longer. How long until the first restoration's complete? Daehyun asked. 13 minutes. The first wave will consist of 32 individuals. All military specialists from the defense grid's original command structure. 13 minutes. The fleet had to hold for 13 more minutes. Daehyun opened communications to the Allied forces. All ships, this is Earth Defense Command. We need 13 minutes. After that, reinforcements arrive. Can you hold? Tavern's response came immediately, but the alien's voice was strained. We hold. Even if it costs everything. The Tritanian ships pushed forward, throwing themselves into the enemy formation. Their weapons glowed white-hot from constant firing. 2 ships exploded as Ravager bioweapons tore through their hulls. But they bought time. Precious seconds, council vessels formed a defensive wall. Independent traders used their ships as shields, protecting damaged allies. The galaxy had come together. Different species. Different worlds. United by a simple truth: if Earth fell, they all fell. 8 minutes. 7. 6. The Ravager world ship reached firing range of Earth. It opened ports along its surface, revealing weapons that looked like they were grown from flesh and metal fused together, energy built around the openings. The next salvo would punch through Earth's atmosphere. Would hit the defense grid directly. Helios protocol is ready, Dr. Park said, awaiting your authorization. Daehyun's hand hovered over the authorization key. One press. That's all it would take. Destroy the enemy. Save the planet. Sacrifice everything his ancestors built. 5 minutes 4. Then a new voice came through the communication system. Human. Uncertain. Confused. Is this really happening? Are we really back? This is Kang Daehyun, he said quickly. Who are you? Commander Lee Hyun, Earth Defense Grid Tactical Operations. We were in the archive. Someone started the restoration. What's happening? We're under attack. Void Ravagers. They're breaking through. I need you operational now. A pause. Then the voice hardened, becoming professional. Understood. Give me access to the tactical network. My team is coming online. We'll take over weapons coordination. Daehyun transferred control. On his displays, the defensive fire pattern changed. The grid's weapons started firing in coordinated volleys instead of continuous streams. Targeting became more precise. The restored humans knew these systems. They'd trained for this exact scenario. More voices joined the network. Engineers, tactical officers, weapons specialists. 300 years in storage hadn't erased their training. They came back fighting. This is Captain Cho Min, Orbital Defense Station 7, coming online. Lieutenant Park Sunwoo, Ground Battery Network, ready for targeting data. Engineering Chief Kim Jae, running emergency repairs on overheated systems. Give me 5 minutes and I'll have you back to full power. Daehyun felt something he hadn't felt since waking up. He wasn't alone anymore. Humanity was back. The defense grid's efficiency jumped. 70%, 80, 90. The restored humans pushed the ancient systems harder than Daehyun had dared. They knew every trick, every optimization, every way to squeeze more power from dying machines. Targeting the world ship's weapon ports, Commander Lee announced. All stations concentrate fire on my mark. 3, 2, 1 mark. The grid fired as one. Every weapon, every platform, all focused on the Ravager world ship's exposed weapons. The energy release lit up space brighter than the sun. The world ship's ports exploded one after another, tearing massive holes in its biomechanical hull. But it wasn't enough. The world ship was too massive, too powerful. It kept coming, its damaged sections already beginning to regenerate. Dr. Park, Commander Lee said, her voice calm. I'm accessing the restricted protocols. I see something called Helios. Is it operational? Yes, but it will destroy the grid. I know. I helped design it. A sad laugh. We built it hoping we'd never need to use it. But if that thing reaches Earth, nothing else matters. Daehyun spoke up. Commander, this is Kang Daehyun. I'm the one who woke up first. Who activated the nodes. If we use Helios, we lose everything we've built. I know, Technician Kang. Dr. Park briefed me. You did the impossible. You brought us back. Now let us finish what we started 300 years ago. Other voices joined in. The restored humans, one by one, agreeing. We built this grid to protect the galaxy, Captain Cho said. If it has to die to do that, so be it. Weapons can be rebuilt, Lieutenant Park added. Lives can't. Daehyun looked at the tactical display. The world ship was too close now. In minutes, it would be in position to devastate the planet. The choice was simple. Use everything, or lose everything. Commander Lee, he said quietly. Authorization is yours. Fire when ready. Understood. All stations, emergency evacuation. Anyone near orbital platforms, get clear. Helios protocol activating in 60 seconds, ships scattered. The Allied fleet pulled back to minimum safe distance. Daehyun watched the countdown. 50 seconds, 40, 30. The defense grid began drawing power from every source. Fusion reactors pushed past safety limits. Energy storage systems emptied themselves. Orbital mirrors realigned, focusing toward the sun. 20 seconds, 10. For humanity, Commander Lee said softly. Fire, the sun screamed. That's what it looked like. A massive flare erupted from the star's surface, guided and amplified by the defense grid's orbital systems. The energy beam was thin, focused, impossibly bright. It crossed the distance to the Ravager world ship in seconds. The world ship tried to turn. Too slow. The solar fire hit it directly. Biomechanical armor vaporized. The creature inside burned. The entire vessel lit up from within, every port and opening glowing white-hot. Then it exploded, breaking apart into millions of burning fragments. The solar beam swept through space, catching the remaining Ravager vessels. They didn't stand a chance. In less than a minute, the entire invasion fleet was destroyed. Not one Ravager ship survived. Then the grid began to die. Orbital platforms exploded, overloaded by the energy they'd channeled. Ground stations melted. Fusion reactors went critical and had to be emergency shut down. 300 years of human engineering burned out in moments. When it was over, only a handful of systems remained functional. Enough for basic defense, enough to protect against pirates or minor threats. But the mighty Earth defense grid, the network that had held back extinction twice, was gone. Daehyun stood in the command center, surrounded by silent displays and cooling machinery. Beside him, Commander Lee's hologram appeared. She looked tired, sad, but not defeated. "We won," she said simply. "At a heavy cost," Daehyun replied. "That's what victory costs sometimes, but we're alive. Earth is safe, and we can rebuild." Communication requests flooded in. The Council, allied species. Everyone wanted to talk. Everyone had opinions about what should happen next. Daehyun ignored them all for the moment. He had more important things to do. "Dr. Park, how many people can we restore with current resources?" "Millions per year. Full restoration will take decades." "But yes, humanity can return." Daehyun nodded. "Decades. That was fine. They had time now." The immediate threat was gone. Earth was safe. Humanity could rebuild slowly, carefully, properly. 6 months later, Daehyun walked through the streets of New Seoul. The city was strange now. Half overgrown forest, half modern construction, buildings made with advanced materials that the galaxy had developed in humanity's absence, designed with human aesthetic. Old and new mixed together. The future built on ruins. Tavrin walked beside him. The Tritanian commander had stayed on Earth, helping coordinate the restoration efforts. A friendship had grown between them. Different species, different worlds, but united by shared purpose. "The Council formally recognized Earth's sovereignty today," Tavren said. Director Velshara was not pleased. "But after what you did, after what humanity did, they had no choice. You saved the galaxy. That earns respect, even from bureaucrats." "We just did what needed doing," Daehyun said. "Nothing special." Tavrin's mandibles clicked with amusement. "You humans, you do impossible things and call them ordinary. That is why we missed you. The galaxy has been quieter without your kind." They reached the Memorial Plaza, a simple stone monument, listing the names of those lost in the battle. Tritanian warriors, Council soldiers, independent traders, different species, different stories, all brought together by a common cause. At the center of the plaza was another monument, smaller, for the humans who never woke from the archives, those whose consciousness couldn't be restored. The ones who sacrificed everything 300 years ago and paid the final price. Dr. Park's hologram appeared beside Daehyun. She'd been given full citizenship rights. A digital person, legally equal to any biological one. She spent her time now helping with the restoration, guiding newly awakened humans through the process of adapting to a changed world. "Commander Lee wants to speak with you," she said, "about the Academy proposal." The Academy, a joint project between humanity and the Tritanians, a place to teach engineering, problem-solving, the human approach to impossible challenges. Tavrin had suggested it. Share humanity's gift. Help other species learn to think like humans. Build instead of taking. Fix instead of replacing. "Tell her I'll be there soon," Daehyun said. He stood before the memorial a moment longer, thinking about everyone who made this moment possible. The engineers who built the grid, the soldiers who defended it, the politicians who made the hard choices, and one maintenance technician who refused to give up. "What are you thinking?" Tavrin asked. "That I'm glad I'm not alone anymore," Daehyun said. "That rebuilding is harder than defending, but maybe more important, and that the galaxy is going to learn what it really means to have humans around again." He turned away from the memorial and walked toward the future. Behind him, the sun set over Earth. His world. His home, not a tomb anymore. Not a ghost world. Just Earth. Alive again. Growing. Learning. Moving forward. 3 months later, Earth sent its first broadcast to the galaxy. A simple message transmitted on every frequency in every known language. "This is Earth Defense Command. We're back online. We're back home. Humanity has returned. And if you ever need someone to fix the impossible, to stand against the dark, to refuse to give up even when everything says you should. Well, that's what humans do best. We're here, we remember, and we're not going anywhere. The message reached across the galaxy. On 1,000 worlds in 1,000,000 languages, beings listened and understood. Humanity was back. The universe was about to get much more interesting. In his small apartment in New Seoul, Kang Dae-hyun heard the broadcast and smiled. He was just a maintenance technician, just someone who knew how to fix broken things, but sometimes that was exactly what the universe needed. He picked up his toolkit. There was work to do. There was always work to do, and he wouldn't have it any other way. The end.